You were there. You were born. You cried. You saw faces leaning over you and learned which ones meant safety. You felt hunger and cold and the specific relief of being picked up. You remember none of it. Not your first word. Not your first step. Not your mother's face on the day you came home. Just a blank, as if the first 3 or 4 years of your life simply didn't happen. Every human who has ever lived has this exact same gap. Scientists call it childhood amnesia. And the reason it happens says something genuinely strange about how memory actually works. Something almost nobody gets told clearly. A 3-year-old isn't slow. They're learning language, reading faces, figuring out cause and effect, and remembering things constantly. Where their toy is, who feeds them, that the stove is hot. In the moment, their memory works fine. Almost none of it survives into adulthood anyway. Go ahead and try it. What's your actual earliest memory? Most people land somewhere around age 3 or 4. A rare few claim 2. When Cornell psychologist Chi Wang asked over 100 American college students the same question, the average came out to almost exactly 3.5, and that's about as far back as the evidence generally goes, across dozens of studies since. Here's what should genuinely unsettle you. Babies can form memories. We know this for a fact. Newborns recognize their mother's voice, something they learned before birth, while still in the womb. A 2-month-old shown a mobile above their crib will remember how to kick to make it move, days or even weeks later. 6-month-olds show clear recognition of a stranger they briefly met 2 weeks earlier, so the real question was never whether babies remember, it's where those memories go. The answer starts with the hippocampus, the brain's filing system for turning short-term experience into long-term memory. At birth, yours was barely functional. The neurons existed, but they hadn't grown the long branches, called dendrites, that let brain cells talk to each other efficiently. Here's the stranger part. The hippocampus is one of the very few brain regions capable of producing entirely new neurons, a process called neurogenesis. Whether that continues deep into adulthood is still genuinely disputed among neuroscientists. Recent studies have argued both for and against it, and the debate hasn't settled, but in early childhood, nobody disputes the rate. It's explosive. And in adulthood, new neurons mostly help you learn. In infancy, they do the opposite. They flood in so fast that they disrupt the very connections that would have stored a memory permanently. The network rebuilds itself faster than anything can get filed away. You're not failing to remember your childhood because nothing mattered. You're forgetting it because your brain was too busy tearing itself down and rebuilding to bother archiving anything. But that's only half of it, and the second half has nothing to do with brain wiring. A huge amount of what we remember isn't stored as pure sensation. It's stored as language, the story you quietly tell yourself about what happened. And babies don't have language yet. Chi Wang tested this directly, comparing earliest memories across cultures. American adults on average land at that 3.5-year mark. Chinese adults on average land about 6 months later, a gap Wang ties to how much a culture talks with children about their own past, walking them through it as a story, versus letting the moment pass without narrating it. The pattern holds broadly. Cultures that talk more with kids about their memories produce earlier, richer earliest memories. The implication is almost uncomfortable. You can't fully keep an experience you had no words to narrate. Your first 3 years weren't silent. They were full of sensation and emotion. They just never got translated into the format your adult mind uses to retrieve anything. Here's the part that actually changes how you see yourself. Not remembering your early childhood does not mean it had no effect on you. If anything, it's the opposite. Psychologists split memory into 2 kinds. Explicit memory is what you can consciously call up. Names, dates, faces. Implicit memory is everything your brain learned without your awareness. Patterns, reflexes, emotional wiring. Your explicit memories from those years are gone. Your implicit ones are still running the show. The way you brace when someone raises their voice. The way you default to trusting or distrusting a stranger within seconds. The exact shape of how you attach to people. How much reassurance you need. How safe closeness feels. Almost all of that was laid down between birth and age 4, before you were cognitively capable of forming a single memory of it happening. So here's what childhood amnesia actually means, once you sit with it. You didn't become who you are through the experiences you can recall. You were built mostly out of the ones you can't. Those first 3 years weren't a wasted, empty stretch behind a locked door. They were the foundation everything else got built on top of. You didn't lose that time. It became you. The vault was never really empty. You just couldn't read what was written inside, until now.